Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I am Brandon Lee. I get to be the guest today, and we've got an excellent guest and an awesome topic. So we're going to jump right in. So, Teo, Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Brandon. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Good. I'm excited to have you too. So Teo, real quick for everybody about you. You are the founder of Aeterna Media, and you're based in
Yes,
Minneapolis. And
yes.
you're also a co-founder of Smart North, which is a nonprofit that your mission is you're dedicated to advancing digital equity and enhancing livability. Does that all sound right?
Yes, it sounds excellent. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Teo, tell us a little bit. First, tell us a little bit about your media company and what you do there as a CEO, and then we're going to jump into diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the work that
Mhm.
you do with Smart North,
Yeah.
and the work that you do as a board member of TechFluent, which I think is just an incredible cause.
All right. So Aeterna Media is a creative agency, a full house creative agency, where we connect brands to multiple different demographics and try to help them build community around their brand. Um, and specifically in an authentic way. So we like to use the term, we use influence for good, right? So,
Right.
influence is a very powerful thing, as we all know. So what you say, the content you have, all that kind of stuff can last forever. I call it the fountain of youth because we're still learning from influences of people that are no longer here. And it's almost like planting seeds,
Right.
influences. And when you plant those seeds, they grow and they plant more seeds. So yeah, that's what we do at Eterna Media. It's a media tech company, and it's kind of what started me on my journey through this tech space. Considering I don't have a tech background, but I
Right.
realized that I have certain talents and skills that I was able to pair with people who have the tech background, and we were able to impact communities at a very large scale. So yeah, we make all types of marketing solution products for different corporations and brands.
Very cool. And in your role at Eterna is where you had the vision, you had the passion around Smart North. I would imagine as a man of color and a minority in digital marketing or tech space,
Mhm.
I'll make an assumption here. You looked around, you're like, there's not a whole lot of people in here that look like me.
Correct. I mean, I was going to all different type of tech events, and I was either the only black guy there, or there was one other black guy, and he had a T-shirt that said "the Black Tech Guy." So I would always hang out with him at these different events and stuff. But yeah, it was a space that I realized that really benefited my life. Technology really saved my life
Mhm.
from a socioeconomic standpoint, and I
Mhm.
wanted to pay that forward. I've always had a passion to helping people, and I've always had a passion to make a difference in people's lives. Now I just found a way to foster it that it made sense, and it was perfect timing because the time is now. And Smart North really evolved after the murder of George Floyd. My marketing company kind of put things on pause, and we seen the city going in uprising. I mean, it was worldwide, and people were watching us all over the news, and I was seeing a lot of misrepresentation of the people that live there. But there's a lot of good people here in Minneapolis that love the city and that really care about the city, and a lot of attention was getting brought to other things that didn't really represent the city well. So myself and some others organized some peaceful demonstrations of and of people coming together and communities coming together um, from all different demographics, and really kind of asking for change and asking for insight and asking for attention to very sensitive information, sensitive things that were happening. And we wanted people to kind of realize that the times are changing, as a famous Minnesotan Bob Dylan would say, right? Times are changing, and we wanted people to be aware of that. And enough was enough, and after that, I started to realize, like, okay, these demonstrations can only do so much. They're like a band-aid. You bring the awareness, but after the awareness, what's next? So that's when myself and a few others came up with Smart North, which is aimed at leveraging technology to improve digital equity. And we want to have like a physical asset for the community that could keep giving back to the community. So we have several community centers right by the George Floyd Square area, as well as in northern Minnesota on native reservations that really would supply and give access to all different types of technology that these marginalized communities may not have access to. And it's been fruitful and it's been very beneficial and it's impact lives. So I'm just happy to be doing something that serves a great cause.
That's great. I love it. And Teo, before we talk about what is happening in those centers and what you're doing, you
Mhm.
had mentioned that technology saved your life.
Yeah.
And you tell us, what do you mean by that? Tell us your
Well,
story.
well, um, growing up, I had a lot of battles that I had to overcome. Made a lot of mistakes, and hung around with the wrong crowds and um, things from having a culture shock. My parents are from Nigeria originally, so there was a lot of culture shock and disconnect. In the house, I felt like I was Nigerian. Outside of the house, I felt like African American. So I was dealing with so many different things, and when um, I stopped playing sports due to some family issues. That's when I really kind of got off to the bad start. Started hanging out with the wrong crowd and getting into some trouble, and my path derailed. And I was getting into a really low point in my life,
Mm.
um, and I missed out on a lot of opportunities. And coming from a well-educated family and stuff like that, it was really frowned upon the decisions that I was making. Um, but then, to make a long story short, when I started getting into this space and getting into the marketing space and getting into the media tech space, I realized that I was able to um, incur a lot of income, a sustainable income, because a lot of the
Yeah.
stuff that we deal with right now stems from poverty, and poverty is a tough barrier to overcome. But once you can overcome that, you can pay attention to a lot of other areas that you can start to address, whether that be, your mental health, your relationships, so many other different pockets of life that you can start to really pour into once you have a sustainable wage, right? So,
Right.
this marketing company really elevated me to that level, and then I was able to start to network and really start to broaden my horizons, for lack of better words, um, into becoming a really beneficial member of society.
That's awesome. And that is the foundation of your passion for both Smart North and, can I say it's like an extension of what you do at
Mhm.
Smart North is being on the board at TechFluent.
Yeah, TechFluent Academy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm currently the president of the board, but there's probably going to be some other promotions of some people that can carry the torch a lot better than I can. But yeah, it's been a wonderful experience, and it's very important right now that we really take a look at where we're at as far as digital
Yeah.
equity goes. We're in this.
So do me a favor real quick. Tell me a little bit about what TechFluent does,
Mhm.
and then I'd love for you to tell us why that's so important right now,
Okay.
especially in the conversation around DEI.
Right. All right, so TechFluent, it's a beautiful nonprofit that really helps individuals with no tech experience whatsoever be able to enter the tech field and get scholarships for training in Microsoft Power Platform and Dynamics 365. So, and these are a lot of low code, no code type of applications that they're able to train individuals on and help them find jobs. So they go through this, free schooling and get all type of training from volunteers and experts from across the nation that all come together and really help the individual get all the attention they need. And then after that, they don't just leave them hanging and dry; they actually get them jobs. And I had one individual that was making minimum wage at a bar. Right, she was a bartender making about 15 bucks an hour, and she actually went and she seen a post and asked if she could sign up, and I said, "Yeah, you should sign up." And um, after she completed the course and everything and got a job, she messaged me and said, "Hey, Tyler, guess what? You're not gonna believe this. I'm now a Dynamics 365 consultant, making about 80 grand a year. You know, this is a total life changer." And she was so excited, and she recommended it to her sister, and her sister graduated the program, I believe. But just for me to hear that, it really touched me because I know what that feeling is like to go from not really struggling financially to having a shift in in income to the point where you're starting to be like, okay, what's next? I can actually, pay off debt. I can, help my family members out. I
Or
can,
planning,
yeah, you can start planning. So it's a
having
total uplift.
dreams.
Yeah, you start to
Yeah.
really chase your dreams. So yeah, that's pretty much what
Well,
TechFluent does.
and I would imagine her shift from, working in a bar to being on the coding side, she still works late at night. She's just not
Yeah.
throwing alcohol around.
Yes. Right.
She's used to the late nights. You keep it up when you're in the tech world.
Yeah. And and I used to own a nightclub back in the day, and um, this type of work is just more impactful. When you're the difference
Yeah, for
between
sure.
just selling everybody liquor versus actually coming up with solutions and helping people make life altering decisions and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. So you and I were on a Zoom call a little while ago, which really set up this you coming on and being a guest on the show.
Hmm.
We were talking then about DEI, about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and
Yeah.
you had some really, for me, they were very interesting. Like, obviously, we're going to say I'm a white man. I have very
Hmm.
different experience than you have day in and day out, and I get that. Um, why is DEI so important? And I know the conversation we had was that a lot of companies right now are looking at budgets, right?
Hmm.
Things have shifted, things have gotten tight, and DEI is getting a little bit defunded, maybe,
Hmm.
or it's not as high on the priority list. And you don't think that's a wise move, even from a bottom line standpoint. You don't think that's a wise move. So I'd like to, finish our conversation today, jumping into that topic of DEI and why it's so important, and what are some of these companies just not seeing or not thinking about if they're leaning towards not putting such an emphasis on DEI as they move into the future.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it simply goes back to that statement I said prior, Brandon, that times are changing, right? Um, the country here is becoming more and more diverse. You have people coming from all different um, demographics, regions of the world, cultures, and things like that that are really entering into the workforce. And I think, and I'm a true believer that any business, right, the most important thing that you have is your customers and your employees. You want to make sure that the culture of your company, your work company culture, is in tip top shape, and you want to make sure that your customer service experience is above par. And how can you do that, Brandon, if you're not really culturally sensitive to the people that work in your place or the customers that you serve? So unless you plan on only serving one type of customer and only hiring one type of employee, I think then we really have to start to entertain this. What does diversity and inclusion mean, right? And really
Mhm.
dissect it. And how do we make sure that it's fair? Because I think there's a lot of arguments that say, "Oh, diversity and inclusion is using race as a way to get people employed," and that's a very broad statement. I think you really have to look at our history here in America, and when it comes to like redlining and hiring employees. And I think a lot of this stuff was put in place to say, let's make sure that we're looking at all applicants and we're not, you know, disregarding people because of their color, but we're actually looking at their qualifications, right? So if you have individuals who are the same qualification, let's make sure that we're hiring the right ones, right? Um, some people may argue and say, "Oh, this person is not qualified." I don't really see that happen. If you talk to a lot of the, you know, um, you know, the people who are applying for jobs, I mean, these are individuals who are sometimes a lot qualified that don't get the opportunity because of their race. So, and that's just one aspect. The other aspect is, how do we make sure that your services or your products are actually benefiting the population that it serves. So you have to get insight from those. You have to have people on your team that can identify with these different cultures and go and understand the backgrounds and their upbringing and their frame of mind. And we also have to be, as a community, be mindful of our implicit biases. A lot of that can really cloud our judgments, and a lot of that can cloud the way we think. So um, I don't think that we should ever, try to devalue or defund diversity and equity. I think we need to really dive into it more and make it more fair and make it more understandable and get knowledge about it.
Yeah. Teo, let's shift it a little bit. It seems a lot of times what I've experienced or I've seen is there's an argument of like defending why DEI would be important in an organization, but oftentimes it doesn't get into just talking about the benefits of it. It's not so
Mhm,
much, oh, you need this, you need that, but
mhm,
there's also the, hey, here's where it's beneficial for the company and even within diversity, but also expanding the population of individuals that you could bring into the workforce. And
mhm.
like right now, it's hard for a lot of organizations to find employees. Who
Mhm.
cares what color their skin is? They're just having a
Right.
hard time finding employees. And so a
Mhm.
lot of what y'all are doing is also you're training people. You're
Yeah.
getting them equipped to be good employees. So when we're looking at DEI, what are some of those real positive benefits that organizations should be looking at, not just from the, oh, you should to be a good citizen, but hey, here's where it's actually really beneficial for you and your company.
Yeah, and again, like I was saying, it's you know, one of the biggest issues is the disconnect between the different populations that corporations or brands are serving, and the people at the top that are making the very important decisions at different important institutions in our country, right? And
Mhm.
they're in their offices where they should be, right? Um, but somewhere down the line, this communication is being distorted. And a lot of people don't speak the same languages. They don't communicate in the same way. They don't receive information in the same way. So the
Mhm.
more people that we have trained from different demographics, from different cultures and whatnot, the better those lines of communication happens, right?
Yeah.
And the more that we can understand individuals' true intentions, right? So you may have an organization or a brand that really means well to help a community, but for some reason the community is not accepting them that well. They're
Mhm.
rejecting them. They don't understand them. There's a disconnect. There's a distrust, right? So the more diverse we have as far as people on your staff, people that can really communicate those in the way that these different demographics can communicate, the more effective that you're able to not only communicate what you're trying to do, but also be able to hear what the community or your audience is saying. And I think
Mhm.
that type of collaboration is what's going to make this world a better place.
Yeah.
And that's and from a business standpoint, from a business perspective, I think that that's going to increase your profits because
Yeah.
those companies that are not trying to adjust to these times are going to get left behind. And it's just
Yeah.
sad to say, and it's unfortunate. I wish they would understand that.
Yeah. Well, what I was kind of smiling about is that's the conversation we had with my team today, and it honestly had nothing to do with diversity. It just
Yeah.
had to do with, hey, the better we all can communicate with each other, we know what it's like to be on the other side of us, right?
Hmm.
We know what it's like for you to be on the other side of yourself. Then we
Hmm.
all can, we work better together. We work better faster. We work better to solve problems and things like when you do get out of whack a little bit or you think somebody did something that you didn't like, it
Hmm.
makes solving problems easier because you already have this foundation of familiarity, of understanding, of working together.
Hmm.
And that's what I heard you say,
Yeah.
that it is a benefit for any organization.
Absolutely, Brandon. Um, you have, and this is what we've been finding out through my marketing company. Through the 6 years that we've been running and the different brands that we've worked with, they all had this one common thing, and it was they just didn't know how to communicate with these different
Mhm.
demographics that were emerging here in this country. And now, and not to mention, because of technology, it's easier to go global now. So
Right.
imagine how diverse populations are then. And we're not asking, CEOs and chief executives, the C suite individuals to change who they are, right? We're not asking you to go all of a sudden read a bunch of, Malcolm X books and Martin Luther King books and study, World Geographic. We're just asking you to be considerate and hire people and really take this diversity and inclusion
Yeah.
seriously, right? Because you know, it's I think we all came together as human beings to be able to work with one another. No one person has all the
Yeah.
answers. It's all about relationships. It's all about collaboration, and I think that's what we're seeing. We're shifting into this digital era, into this era of technology, where the more you're collaborating, the more that we have this village mentality, the easier it is to benefit our communities. Because what I lack, you may be a
Right.
superstar at, and vice versa. So it's
Right.
like, how do we come together and make sure that we are influencing different cultures with all the positive benefits from our own culture?
That's excellent. Well,
Yeah.
Teo, I am so grateful that you spent time with us on the show today.
Mhm.
Anybody that's listening and they want to get in touch with you or they want to connect with Smart North or TechFluent,
Mhm.
how can people connect with you?
It's really simple. My email is Tayo, Tayo, at smartnorth.org. So that's Tayo at smartnorth.org. You can email me. I'm pretty responsive to that. Shout out to TechFluent. They are doing wonderful work. So please, if you could support TechFluent, go. Just all you gotta do is Google TechFluent Academy. They'll pop right up, and it'll have all types of information. But this is really game changing, um, um, impactful work that these organizations
Mhm.
are doing right now. I mean, so many people has came up to me during my time, um, of doing a lot of the work that I've been doing, and asking, how can I help the community? How can I do this? Just understand this. Right now, we're in a digital shift. Everything is becoming digitized. The more
Yeah.
people that we have understanding how to get into the space of technology, people are afraid that technology is taking jobs, but people are still gonna. I think that people are still gonna be needed to run the technology.
Mhm.
How does the technology think? How do
Yeah.
we? And we have to make sure that the same way companies need DEI. We need to make sure that the technology are really being programmed by people
Yeah.
from different demographics and different cultures. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we were trying to wrap up, but that brought up two things with me. You got a few more minutes?
Yeah, I got as
Yeah.
much time as you want.
Sure, perfect. Well, one thing would be TechFluent's doing some amazing work, and Liz
Mhm.
McLennan's been on the show. She's been a guest here before.
Yeah, shout out to
Can you
Liz.
can you can you tell everybody a little bit of like what you said if you wanted to reach out to TechFluent, what does TechFluent need right now? Because TechFluent is in a bit of a boom stage, right? There's
Mhm.
more students coming in, which
Yeah.
means they need more mentors, which means they also need more companies. And the
Mhm.
benefit for companies, if you're in the Microsoft ecosystem and you're hearing this, they are training people who are hungry, excited, learning, and ready to go to work. And
Yeah.
so if your HR department is saying, we can't find people, hello, get in front of TechFluent and see what
Yeah.
they're doing.
I mean, TechFluent we're having applicants after applicants after applicants, right? Um, where we need help is kind of like what you said, Brandon, is we need more volunteers. So if you're an
Mhm.
expert in the tech space, please, this is a way for you to pay it forward. This is a way for you to make impact. This is a way for you to change people's lives, is to volunteer your time, right? And if you're busy, then you can always open up your checkbooks, because one thing that most nonprofits need, is funding.
Right.
So yeah, so go up to the TechFluent Academy website, and there's an option to donate, there's the option to volunteer, and just go there. I mean, you ask yourself this. There's so many people that are waiting to figure out, what is my purpose? How can I help the community? How can I, you know, and I don't really know how to do that. Well, this is a perfect way to do that, by using your own skill and your own talent, and your own resources. Just go on TechFluent Academy, and please help out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll add to that for anyone listening. Like Teo very elegantly said, it's your opportunity to give and to support and give back into the community. But you know what else? It's your opportunity to bless yourself, because
Yes.
we do know this. We can't outgive, right? It
Mhm.
just you get so much more out of this type of effort, whether it is writing a check or it's spending time and pouring into the people that are going through this. I mean, I was able to spend some time with TechFluent at community summits last year, and some of the students and the graduates. I got to be there when Yodi came in and said she got offered her job. She was so
Yeah.
excited, and being a part of that is just you can't replace being around that and watching humans that are growing,
Yeah.
excited, and learning, and knowing that that job offer Yodi got while she was at Community Summit is going to change her life and the life for her family.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've heard a lot of these wonderful stories during my time at TechFluent. And it's just it really brings joy to my heart to know that people are really getting dialed in. I mean, we all want that dream to be able to help our families, to be able
Mhm.
to eat the best of foods and things like that, and to be able to live in a peaceful society, and that's what TechFluent is doing, is
Yeah.
providing access and pathways to that. Yeah.
And what you're doing with Smart North
Hmm.
and two locations in Minnesota as well.
Yeah. I mean, in Smart North, it's just amazing. I mean, to have a physical asset that the community can really access. I mean, we have one girl, 15 years old, mind you. She is 15 years old. She is an artist. She was painting all over her mother's walls, painting, and her mother said, "Here, I'm getting you some canvases so you can not tearing up my walls." She gets her, she gets her these canvases. Now these canvases are starting to become, pretty expensive when you're buying painting after painting after painting, and now it's taking up space too, right?
Yeah.
So we're tabling at her school at Smart North, and we go to the high schools, and we tell her, "Have you heard about metaverse design?" She's like, "Metaverse design? What is that?" Well, if you're an artist, try your art in the metaverse. So to make a long story short, she's her first class of her cohort at the Metaverse Design. So Smart North, we have these learn and earn programs that we actually pay youth to learn these different type of topics, these different type of emerging tech topics. So Metaverse
Right.
Design cohort, she's making money to be there. They tell her, if you could design anything you want, what would you design? She says an art gallery. So she designed an art gallery in the metaverse
In the
and then put
metaverse.
samples of her painting in the art gallery. And now she can send a link to anybody in the world, and they can click that link, tour her art gallery in the metaverse, and purchase her art, and then she ships it out to them. So she went from an artist to an entrepreneur just like that in the mind, right? And then
Yeah.
from there, she started thinking even more. So the second cohort, which is Metaverse 2, we actually set her up with a real client, her and her cohort team, with the actual client. It was a museum in Minnesota here. It was a museum that needed their museum designed in the metaverse. Somebody would ask, why does the museum need to be designed in the metaverse? Well, these museums get funding from all around the world. And it's snowing right now in Minnesota. There's a lot of people around the world that don't want to fly to Minnesota to look at a museum.
January in Minnesota is not the best time to visit.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. Sometimes I wonder, why did my Nigerian parents pick here? But that's a whole nother story. but
That's another show,
that's
another
a
day.
whole nother story. Yeah. But anyways, so now the museum has they're able to have their donors, supporters, future donors tour their museum in their metaverse, look at
Oh,
updates
amazing.
and all that kind of stuff. And these young high school students are the ones that designed that. And she put that on her resume now. She has experience, she has a real client. Then we put her in art galleries. She sold all of her artists artwork that was laying around her mother's house. She sold a lot of that stuff. So just can you imagine? And she's only 15 doing this. You know,
Right.
I was 15. I wasn't doing any of this, Brandon. I don't know about you, but
Right.
I was.
Yeah,
So
I was still dreaming of being a soccer player. I was still trying to trying to figure out how I could pull that off and get paid for it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's never too late,
that's
right?
right. Well, I don't know. I think my time has come, unless there's like an over 60 league that I could eventually aspire to. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to pick up golf.
That's right. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's so boring to me. But anyway, well,
But yeah,
Teo,
so that's a prime example of what Smart North is doing, what TechFluence is doing, and how it's really empowering, changing people's lives. Now the girl's 15. She's pure bonding with like-minded individuals. She's off to the races, and nothing can stop her. Right? Nothing can bring her down.
right.
She knows who she is. She has self-identity. She has purpose. She's aligned with her interests, and she was able to discover this at 15 years old. It's beautiful.
Oh, incredible.
Mhm.
Incredible. Man, I look back sometimes, I'm sure you do too, Teo, after telling your story and just go, man, if I could have just figured a few of these things out 10
Yeah.
years earlier, 20 years earlier. I mean, I
Yeah.
still got things going, man, why didn't I figure this out in my 20s?
Why didn't I figure it out? I mean, at that
Yeah.
time, I wish we'd have had a Smart North or TechFluent. Who knows where I would have been then? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Maybe I would have been president of the United States or something. I don't know.
There you
But
go.
no, I'm just joking. We didn't have that. We just had after school programs where they just sat us in a gym and let us play around and eat sandwiches, and that was it.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
As you said, times are changing.
times are changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks again, Brandon.
Absolutely, Teo. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. And for everybody, thank you for joining us. Another great episode. And as Teo said earlier, if you want to reach out to him, it's Teo, Tayo, at smartnorth.org.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.